Hello everybody, David here, and welcome to Removing the Veil. I am doing a small series. I haven't really figured out like how many videos I'm going to be doing, but the probably will be maybe at least 4 or 5 videos dealing with this series. And might a little later on add to it or so. I'm not quite sure, but I have been reading a book. Now I've heard of him and seen quotes from him, but I've never read any of his work before. But this is the first book I've ever read dealing with this guy, and I'm just highly impressed, and I just fell in love with it. And I definitely want to read more of his stuff. But it's a Kahlil Gibran, and the book is The Prophet. And yes, he, for those of you who don't know anything about Kahlil Gibran, he's a poet, a philosopher, an artist. He was born in Lebanon, but he's more of a spiritualist. And I mean, he takes some of his work from like Islamic teachings, from Christianity, some from Jewish mysticism and other forms of mysticism, but the man's a genius. And I tell you, when I read his stuff, I can't help but to think of God, or to think of Jesus, and think of, I mean, this guy is like a prophet. The way he speaks, it's amazing. So I'm not going to be reading scripture today. I am going to be reading from the prophet, from Kahlil Gibran, and I am titling this series "The Gospel According to Kahlil Gibran," because God, I feel like I'm reading a gospel by him. It's just amazing work. I'm going to title this video, "What is Love?" What is love? We like to throw that word around, I think, without any idea of the damage that word can do if it's not used properly. When we use the excuse, "I did this because I love you," or whatever, love almost has just as much of a bad reputation as God or Jesus Christ or some other religious figure, or even different religious sects like Islam, Christianity, the Jewish religion, and all that. It's almost like the word love has become an ugly word. It can be equated to the idea of hate. And it's because I think we don't know what it is. We just throw it around. I love you, but I'm not going to treat you like I love you. As if love is not an action, but just an idea. And I think that is something that we don't realize. It's very damaging. It really is. And so I'm going to read about love from this book, The Prophet. So it starts on page 11. It says, "Then said Amitra, 'Speak to us of love.' And he raised his head and looked upon the people, and there fell a stillness upon them. And with a great voice he said, 'When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep, and when his wings enfold you, yield to him. Then the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you, though the Yet though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you, yet when he speaks to you, believe in him. Though his voice may shatter your dreams, as the north winds lays waste the garden. For even as love crowned you, so shall love crucify you. Even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. Even as he ascends to your height and caresses your tender branches that quiver in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. Like sheaves of corn he gathers you unto himself. He threshes you to make you naked, and sifts you to free you from your husk. He grinds you to whiteness and kneads you until you are pliant, and then he assigns you to his sacred fire, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast. All these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in the knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. But if you fear, you would seek only love's peace and love's pleasure, then it is better for you that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor into the seasonless world, where you shall laugh, but not with all your laughter, and weep, but not all of your tears. Love gives not of itself, and takes not from itself, but from itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed. For love is sufficient unto love. When you love, you should not say, God is in my heart, but rather I am in God's heart. And think not you can direct the course of love, for love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. But if you love, it must needs have desires. Let those be your desires. Let these be your desires. To melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night. To know the pain of too much tenderness. To be wounded by your own understanding of love. And to bleed willingly and joyfully. To wake at dawn with a winged heart. And give thanks for another day of loving. To rest at the noon hour and meditate love's ecstasy. To return home at eventide with gratitude, and then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart, and sing in a song of praise upon your lips. I love it because I think it really speaks unto God's heart, the way that love truly works. It's funny how it says, when love beckons you, follow him. Though his ways are hard and steep, and when his wings enfold you, yield to him. And it reminds me of Isaiah 6 verse 8, where God says, whom shall I send? And Isaiah said, send me, Lord, I'll go. And it's funny because that's love beckoning Isaiah to go and speak to the people who are lost right now and doing things that they shouldn't be doing, because they're sacrificing their children, and they're hurting people. They're causing pain to their own nation and to themselves. And so God sends out Isaiah to do this, but he says it's not going to be easy. You're going to hurt. Or when Jesus says in Matthew 16:24 to pick up your cross and follow me. And what that reminds me of is that Jesus saying, if anyone come after me, you must deny yourself on a daily basis, pick up your cross and follow me. Saying love isn't a hurt. Love does not feel good. That's why it says right here that though his sword hidden among his pinions may wound you, when he speaks to you, believe in him. Saying that love is going to wound you. You're going to be wounded by love, because to love truly is to hurt and to suffer for others. it says that, though his voice may shatter your dreams as the north wind lays waste to the garden, this reminds me that love does destroy your dreams. We go about our life and say, this is what I want to do. This is the way I'm going to go. But somehow, out of love and to do what's right, you forsake all that you want to do for the sake of loving somebody else. And that's something that love does call us to do. Is that, love, even as love crowns you, so shall love crucify you. And that is so true. You will be crucified by love. You will suffer for the sake of love, because love hurts. Love truly, utterly hurts. You lose more when you truly love. That's why even, Jesus says to love your enemies. Meaning that if you truly love your enemies, nobody shall be your enemies in the end, because you won't count them as enemies. You will see your brother, you will see your sister, you'll see Jesus even in your enemies. Even though they won't treat you like they're Jesus, You'll see Jesus in them. You'll see Jesus in each and everybody. You'll see children of God even in your enemies. Because that is what we are called to do. That's what we should do. But, love will take away your comfort zone. Love will, even though it'll caress your most tenderest branches that's in the sun. Love will even shake you at the roots from the earth. It'll make you uncomfortable. Love challenges you each and every day. Love will challenge everything you believe, everything you hold dear. Love will challenge even your faith, your religion, your legalism. It will challenge you, and it will break it. It'll make you uncomfortable. You'll go places that you said I would never go. You'll do things that you say I would never do. And you will go even against your own faith if you truly love someone. And I love that. It talks about how love, pretty much breaks you down. It makes you like bread. It'll put you in the fire, purifying you, baking you, for God's, in God's sacred oven, for God's sacred feast. Meaning that, and that just reminds me of the way that God talked about how He's the refiner's fire and He's the potter's hands. You will be made. You will be made into what love is going to shape you to be. What you need to be. It's going to make you taste good. It's going to make you the person that you're supposed to be if you allow love to do its perfect work in you. And it's actually in the Bible. Let love do its perfect work. Let it perfect itself in you. Love is going to perfect itself in you. And all these things love shall do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your own heart. Means it's going to reveal yourself. You're gonna know yourself more when you allow love, because it's gonna expose the things that shouldn't be there, the hate, the malice, the bitterness, the prejudice, the discrimination that hides within your heart. If you have any racist tendencies or any discrimination toward the LGBTQ community, if you have anything in you, any religious legalism that shouldn't be there, you will know yourself more through love. That's why it says, you shouldn't seek only love's peace and pleasures. Because if that's the case, you might as well just walk on and just forget about it. Because love is not all about peace and pleasure. Love is going to cause you to suffer. Love is going to cause you pain. Love is going to make you uncomfortable. Love is going to make you do the things that you wouldn't imagine you would do in your wildest dreams. But one thing that love will not do, love only gives but of itself, and only takes but from itself. Love will not be possessed, nor does love possess anyone. It says love is sufficient unto love. Love is enough unto love. And that's what, it reminds me whenever, God, Jesus says, my grace is more than enough. My grace is more than enough. And that is it. For we all know that God is love. And First John chapter 4, it talks about how God is love and how God is perfect love. And God will only take from God, and God will only give up from God. God does not demand, and take from anybody else. We are to give of ourselves unto others, unto each other. And Jesus says, "Do what you're doing to the least of these, you do unto me." This is something that I think we need to realize, is that is what God has always called us to do, and to share in the sufferings of one another. In 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 5 through 7, it talks about sharing in each other's sufferings. And in Galatians chapter 5, 22 through 23, it talks about the fruits of the Spirit. And even in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, all this reminds me of the characteristics of love. And it says that when you love, you should say that God is not in my heart. You shouldn't say that God is not in my heart, but that rather I am in God's heart. And that's it. When we love, we are in God. And in 1 John chapter 14, it talks about that if we love, we abide in God. We're in the heart of God. God's not in our heart. We are in God's heart. So we are surrounded by God, because we are loving and doing what God does. And I love that, how it says that love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. When Jesus says it is finished on that cross, that was him fulfilling love. He was like, yes, I have fulfilled love to the fullest right now. And he was satisfied with that, because he knew that he fulfilled himself. He fulfilled love. He done what was required of him. And that is something that I think we don't realize, is that is what love should only be. That should only be the desire of love in our heart, is to fulfill love and continue to fulfill love. We will be wounded by our understanding of love. We will think that, oh, I thought I knew what love was. But that's not the case. Love, again, is something that is beyond our own comprehension. Like I said before, in the unknown God, the God outside of religion, in that series, I was talking about how God is beyond our knowing. Love is beyond our knowing. That's why we should allow love to always direct us, and seek to do what's right through love. Because that's the only way we're going to get through this. That's the only way we're going to get it right, is that it's done through love. When we do things, when we preach things, when we talk about things, when we minister to people, when we shout out, Black Lives Matter, or Women's Rights Matter, or LGBTQ rights matter, or when we fight, social justice, or whatever we are doing, when we preach a sermon, from whatever religious reason, from whatever faith it is, or when we pray a prayer, when we feed the hungry, clothe the naked, when we are singing a song, what are we motivated by? Is it love? Or is it self-praise? What is it? And that's something we should always ask ourselves. What are we motivated by today? Are we showing love today? Are we doing what's right today? So I ask you, are you motivated by love? Are you doing what you're doing because you love your neighbor as you love yourself? Ask yourself that. I do, each and every day. God bless you guys. I love you.